Well, could video games be the future of remote work? Award-winning futurist researcher, keynote speaker Nikolas Badminton joins us on Canada Now for his weekly visit. And Nick, the pandemic has us working from home and meeting by video, which we're doing right now. But some companies have taken to a new kind of cloud-based service for remote work.
There are these companies that are reimagining what it's like to use digital platforms and video and spatial awareness to connect through video game type environments. Creating environments that look and feel like real offices. A company like Teamflow's doing that. Spatial Chat is a really interesting platform that I've used with a couple of conferences where people can sort of be in the vicinity of each other, have private conversations, still attend a lecture and do some really interesting things. And these companies are growing and being used by other large companies as well. So I think that we're in this opportunity right now to rethink what digital engagement truly looks like and ask yourself the question, is it okay to just see each other like face to face with cameras, or can we go one step further and recreate that in-person feeling and the opportunities of what that brings?
Yeah, so basically you are virtually in an office online and you can roam the office as you need and pop in to talk and meet with coworkers and collaborating on web-based documents and applications accessible in your avatar's quote-unquote physical space. I've used I'll say something like this, but not as advanced as this. When I was hosting like a fan fest, and so like there was like a room there where everybody was going to be in a room there, so you could pop into that room, and check out that discussion. So that was kind of neat. But this is a little bit more advanced. Like if you are if you don't want to be interrupted while working, but still be online, you could shut off your camera and your microphone, and if someone approaches virtually, you can answer it when you want to. It's kind of like being in an office, in your office, and somebody comes and knocks on a door, and you say, "Come in." It's kind of that idea.
Yeah, and whilst that happens, you might be sat in your castle or your rowboat or some kind of fantastical environment as well. So it's kind of suspending that entire idea that there is an office and it might be a magical playground. It might even be the Matrix, Jeff. You never know, right? So it's kind of interesting to me. This is more like a simulation. And I think that as we step into the opportunities of having decent connection through digital, I think that simulations are going to be a really hot topic, and being able to perpetuate this world that we're sort of living in right now with digital connection is going to be important. But it's going to be important to do it in a way that feels fun. I mean, I'm kind of worried a little bit that this is prescriptive and everyone's going to do this, and people that are in the workplace either don't want to do it or they feel that it's kind of silly. Maybe you're an executive and you're like, why am I going to do this? So I think that there's going to be some people that are going to choose this, and there's going to be some people that are going to just force their entire teams to be on endless Zoom calls for 85 hours a week.
Yeah, it's like everybody's got to be on board. Like if it's like, well, a few people like it and a few people don't. No. It's like everybody's got to be on board. And on top of that, it can't just be another option as well as Zoom, and all the other online virtual platforms. It's got to be like, this takes over. This is it. And everybody's on board with it. And it might lead to that. Like you mentioned, some large companies that are on board with it, that are at least trying it out. Apple, Reddit, Uber, Sony, Panasonic, Sega, LinkedIn. These are big companies. If these big companies are all using it, one would think that there'd be a domino effect and everybody will.
Yes and no. I think that it depends on the makeup of who's working in your company. I mean, you listed off a lot of companies there that are, typically skew younger people, like hip people that are literally plugged into their cell phones or their tablets or their laptops at all hours of the day. So this is a little gimmicky for them, but we've seen with technologies like Slack with real-time messaging and groups and all sorts of things can kind of change that culture around sort of communication and productivity. So who's not to say that these platforms can really deliver something that's magical? I mean, I've got a really close friend over in Qualicum Beach. Shout out to Denny Unger, who's the CEO of Cloudhead Games, and they've been working on technologies that kind of put you as an avatar, but mixed with you and your real-time interaction, your face on a body that's got non-verbal cues, and you've got room ambience, and you've got places to work and places for casual interactions, that water cooler moments. I think that's super interesting. That's not open to the public. That's sort of secret stealth stuff that I've been coming across. But it's interesting. You know, this is a really interesting problem to solve. Creating intimacy and empathy and understanding through these platforms versus just forcing people into, you know, the purgatory of Zoom and Skype hell, you know?
Well, and your friend Denny, like, I saw the video, you sent me a video of that, and I kind of felt like I met with him in a weird way, although it was a video, but it was an experience of seeing him, and there he was, like, in the lounge. I think there was like a cafe sign like behind it.
Right.
And when you talk about, you know, the head being imposed on a virtual body, you know, and it's cartoonish, it's fine, but the head, it's not a picture of him with his, you know, voice being thrown out there on the video. It's him. It's like the frame of the Zoom call is within the picture or the square that's allotted for his head. So there he is. Like, I could see him, and it's like his head. He's talking to me, and it's superimposed on a body. Again, it's cartoonish and fun, but I feel as though I met with him. I honestly, I really think that a lot of people would be on board with this now, post-pandemic, as an alternative to us all being together at work. I don't know, but as of the right here and now, I would prefer that over Zoom calls.
Exactly. And you know, Denny and his team have been really pioneering virtual reality for a long, long time. I remember meeting him years ago in Coombs on Vancouver Island, in a little hut, him and 3 friends building wild VR stuff. And, you know, it's just this different perspective. I mean, what we need is these thinkers and these designers that just come from somewhere else. You know, if you start off by thinking we need to recreate the office, then you're doing things wrong. And, you know, I'm not sort of dissing TeamFlow or Spatial Chat or Remo or any of these other products, but, you know, if you start with that as an idea, then you're wrong. If you start with the idea that you want to build empathetic human connection, then you build the right things. I think that what Cloudhead Games have actually done is go in a really right direction. What the others are doing is they're going to catch up to those ideas, and I think that, you know, these are going to be technologies that are going to be deployed in events and conferences pretty widely. I think that that's going to be really good. I do think it's going to be in some offices. But, you know, we have to really question, like, what's the alternative? If someone doesn't want to be there, does that mean that they don't get spoken to? They don't want to be part of the game? They don't want to be part of this? Or maybe we should just consider that maybe, you know, our lives are just a pure simulation anyway, Jeff. And you know, we're in this strange sort of Matrix style world. It's interesting. It's really pushing the boundaries, and I love talking about this subject this week.
Yeah, me too. And what I like about this as well is, again, in the here and now, the advantage over these online calls. You know, I say Zoom most often because that's the one I use the most. But another advantage is if you want to walk over virtually into a space where somebody is, you can have an impromptu discussion. Because right now, if we've got, like, if I've got to get in touch with you, Nick, we're working together, I've got to get in touch with you, I've either got to put it into the form of an email or a text if we're not doing a Zoom call. And it's another thing to do. Okay, I got to make sure I do that. Whereas if I see you over there, oh, they're over in that room over there, and they've made themselves available, I'm just going to pop in there. And you click, you pop in, and you can have a quick chat and have impromptu meetings. Like, a lot of the work that we would get done in offices are done in the hallways, or done at the water cooler, or done by walking by somebody else's office to say, hey, what about that thing we were doing? And then you just kind of build off of that, and that's where you have an advantage with this.
I think that one of the big considerations here is that you would have to be in a state of always on in these systems. You're always on, you're always plugged into the system. Anyone can come and see you at any point in time. I think that is a huge trigger for anxiety, for always thinking that someone's giving you oversight, that someone's looking over your shoulder at the work that you're doing right now. And that's where it gets kind of strange, because of the sort of the corporate surveillance versus that being in a space where, I could see you walking across the office, Jeff, to come chat to me, or you've stopped chatting to someone else.
Right.
And I think, oh, he's definitely going to come chat to me, so I duck out and go and get a coffee for 3 hours. Right?
Is that what you would do if we were working together? You see me wandering over the office, like, I can't do it.
Maybe on occasion, Jeff, but like it's interesting, always being on, always being in that sort of mode. It's not necessarily going to be good for people. So I don't necessarily think that always on sort of system is really going to be good. There's a story I have there's an advertising agency that I didn't work for, but I contracted for, in Vancouver, and the CEO put cameras around the office so that when he was on business trips, he could make sure that everyone was in the office and working and everything seemed fine. And it's kind of, that went down really, really terribly.
Yeah, I would imagine.
With the culture of the company. So we're going to think about these cultural elements of these technologies coming in, instead of just, techno fetishizing, hey, new technology, new platform, we can connect in this new way. Because we can get jaded, we can get really tired of it. Fatigue will just be wearing a different hat, So I think that's really important from a design and an expectation perspective of your employees.
Well, and I feel like I'm trying to sell you on this, and you're the futurist, and I'm the one that's asking about it. But I'm pretty excited about it. One company behind this idea went from founding to 8-figure revenue within 9 months with no outside investment. And a recent study, and you pointed this out to me, a recent study conducted by Iowa State University reveals that playing video games under certain conditions is linked to improved creativity. So, maybe we get a bit of that as well. Maybe that would kind of spark one's creativity, especially now, though, that, we've been stuck at home and staring at screens for so long.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do think that we have to consider the entire ecosystem. Why aren't companies sending their employees like meals, like lunches? Why aren't they, having business meetings in the morning where those people are given budgets to be able to create, the food around the table? This goes bigger, and this goes bigger. If you're going to recreate a societal construct of the office, of working together in a collaborative space, there's lots of different facets to that, from the light that's shining through the window and the view, to looking at people. And the bottom line is, Jeff, mirror neurons don't really fire in the same way when you're through a digital interface. So how do you build that connection? Imagine being a new employee and all you do is operate in these new spaces versus people that have been there for a long time that know each other already. It can be entirely polarizing. So there's a sort of a warning sticker on this entire use of video gaming and these platforms and the ideas around that, because video games can also take you so deep into an experience that no one else quite gets exactly who you are, what you are. And I think that you could end up having people with different personalities online significantly through these environments. And when, say, they have to go to the office, it becomes a completely different experience for people to interact with them and work with them in a way. So you might be someone that's quite introverted in person, or someone that's quite extroverted online, and that's pretty typical.
Yeah, like I said, I think this would be an intriguing alternative in the here and now. Post-pandemic, not too sure about that. Check out NikolasBadminton.com. Futurist, researcher, keynote speaker Nick Badminton. Always a pleasure, my friend. We'll talk again.
I'll see you in virtual reality, Jeff.
No, you won't, because you'll avoid me. You'll duck into another room, and then you'll shut your microphone off and your camera, and I won't be able to talk to you. That's how it's going to go down.
Yeah, maybe.